Welcome to session 2 of the 5-minute fix. Don't fear the hypo. This session is on the barriers to exercise for people with type 1 diabetes and how to overcome them. Before we start that, we'll just do a quick recap of session 1. You'll remember that we spoke about seeking medical advice before exercise and before making changes to your diabetes management. Remember, I'm not a doctor or a nurse. I cannot give you medical advice. We spoke about dressing appropriately, about having water and snacks available whilst you're exercising or close to where you're exercising. And then we spoke about the diabetes kit that you need to carry. We spoke about the risks of hypoglycemia during exercise and how being hypo before exercise could indicate that it's not such a good idea to exercise today. And the same was true for high blood glucose levels too. So what are the barriers to exercise for people with type 1 diabetes? Well, it turns out they fall into 5 main categories. The first is motivation, the second is time, the third is managing diabetes, the fourth is low blood glucose levels, and the fifth one is blood glucose levels going up after exercise, which sounds kind of crazy. People with type 1 diabetes have exactly the same challenges on facing the motivation to exercise that everybody else has. Sometimes the journey from the sofa to the front door is just that little bit too far. Many of us have negative experiences about sport that come from school and childhood, when we may have felt some pressure to be the best, or we may associate sports with being excluded or included from the team, or perhaps worse still, being picked last. Motivation to exercise is a really personal thing, and your aim shouldn't be necessarily to be the best. It should just be to feel a little bit better and a little bit fitter than you did yesterday. Try to set yourself some small targets that you can achieve each day and week. Write your targets down and put them somewhere so that you can see them every day. Sometimes finding somebody to share our goals with really helps, and this is partly why some people work with personal trainers. Remember that exercise has many different forms beyond going to the gym, playing football, running, swimming, or riding a bike. The important thing is to find a type of exercise that you enjoy doing. Remember, if you enjoy it, you're more likely to find the time to do it. If exercise is fun and it feels like play, then it becomes a higher priority for you. And it's okay to be a little bit selfish, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later. I'm not an athlete, so we talked about how shopping is the most dangerous sport for people with type 1 diabetes, and it causes more low blood glucose levels than every other sport combined. Other sports that typically cause low blood glucose levels: housework, gardening, cleaning the car, decorating, walking around the park, or anything that increases your levels of physical activity are likely to have an impact on your blood glucose levels. And we've not even mentioned sex and the need to keep jelly babies by the bedside. I've often said that I don't have time to exercise. And it's often said that we all have the same amount of time. But that's simply not true. People with type 1 diabetes who exercise regularly live an average of 2.7 years longer than those with type 1 diabetes who do not exercise regularly. It's not always easy, but setting just 30 minutes a day aside to exercise could make the world of difference to you. And if your chosen form of exercise is fun, remember, you're more likely to find the time to exercise. So exercise can make my blood glucose level even harder to manage. But what we know is that when you exercise regularly, your diabetes can actually become much easier to manage. Why would I ever do something that makes my blood glucose go low even more? I haven't yet met anybody who enjoys the feeling of going hypo. But with good strategies, good understanding, and doing exercise regularly, it's amazing how quickly we can adapt and how very soon you'll be exercising frequently without fear of going hypo. If exercise causes low blood glucose levels, why does my blood glucose level reach for the moon the moment I stop exercising? If you do a really good, slow warm down with plenty of stretching, you can really help to stop these blood glucose levels from reaching quite so high. And in a later video, I'm going to be talking about exactly why this happens and what you can do about it.